Hi everybody! Today we will speak with UX UI designer Olga about design terms.
Hello, thanks for having me today. I'm Olga. I am a UI UX designer at Leaky and Frontend House, and today I will tell you a little bit about terms that you might not know.
But you should know if you take part in design process and development process.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Because some terms are not obvious, but today we'll speak about it.
Actually, very little of them are obvious, so...
Okay, so we'll see. Today we have an episode with two Olgas, so you don't have too much to remember. So let's start. Firstly, let's imagine a situation when you are on the workshop with your clients.
Yeah.
How usually clients don't understand what you are talking about.
Usually during the workshops we are trying to, use words that are familiar to the clients, but I think that words that might not be familiar to them can be usually names of the exercises that we are doing. For example, Moscow or something like that. These are terms that are widely used in design, so that you can identify the specific exercise. But clients might not understand them. So this is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, it's like true design slang. Nobody understands, and design people think that everybody must understand that.
Okay, so I think that a word like that is a component, actually, because this is a word that I use very often. Like I am using it all the time, actually. And I kind of presume that everyone understands it, but it often turns out that some clients don't, and actually some people are kind of ashamed to mention it.
To ask what is that?
Yes. So actually a component is basically an element, a design element that you design. This is a UI element, like it can be a very small one, for example, an icon, or it can be a bigger one, for example, a Navbar. And a Navbar is a top navigation of the website or any other kind of navigation in user interface.
Okay, so we have already had one word, component, and Navbar, but now let's play a game. I will choose words and ask you what is that.
Okay, sure.
And you will explain it as designer.
Sure. Okay, so let's get to it.
Okay, so I will find some words for you. I have a lot of prepared. I think we will have 2 episodes of this because I have a lot of words for you. Uh-oh. 3 hours later. Okay, so my first word, letter A, is asset. What is asset? Because it's widely used in design world.
An asset is actually a graphical resource that is used, for example, in web design. You need to fill your website with assets, basically. So you have to prepare assets for a designer to use them in your website. For example, photos that you want to use on your website are assets, or illustrations of any kind that you are willing to use are also assets. Actually, any kind of graphical material can be called an asset.
And is sound, music, and non-graphical design?
Yes. It depends. It's basically the content.
Yeah, it's every kind of content you will find on your website application.
Graphical content, yeah.
Graphical.
But because text is not an asset.
You see, you okay. Yeah. Okay, my second word is Figma. What is Figma?
That is not technically a term or a word. It's a name.
Okay.
It's a name of a software that we
like Olga and it's like Figma, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for a stupid joke.
Yes, so Figma is basically a software that designers worldwide use for design, basically.
Wow, designers use for design.
Yes,
I'm
but
surprised.
actually, yes, but this is a specific software that you use, that is widely used for user experience and user interface design, because this is actually a vector graphic editor, and a vector graphic is basically, do you know what it is? Okay, so but
Do you know what it is?
You might not know what vector graphic is. So vector graphic is basically the kind of graphic that is built mathematically rather than based on pixels. So you can basically, when you have vector graphics, you can scale it indefinitely without losing its quality. But when you have raster graphics that is based on pixels, you cannot freely scale it, basically. So that's the basic difference between these kinds of graphics. So Figma is basically a vector graphics editor and is widely used in user experience and user interface design because of its wide collaborational features. So due to this wide range of collaborational features, it's very convenient to work.
Yeah, I love
clients
Figma. I love Figma, really.
Yes.
It's very pleasant to use.
Yes, and it has very pleasant interface, and it's also very, very simple actually to use. It's very pleasant.
The next word is button. You may think it is obvious, but it's not always obvious, so let's talk about it.
Okay, so it might not be obvious. Maybe in English it is, but when you speak in other languages, this word actually is usually used in English, so it might not be understandable for everyone. So a button basically is an element that allows you to take action, that enables interaction. Basically, when you click on a button, you tell the program to do something. For example, to save your file or something like that. So that is basically a button.
Do you usually have buttons which don't look like a button? Like a big red button you have to push?
Okay, so this is actually a kind of complex question, because there are different kinds of buttons. So basically, you have three kinds of buttons: primary buttons, secondary buttons, and tertiary buttons. Basically, all of them look differently. For example, the primary button is the filled one, the one that has a background, basically. Yes, the secondary one is the button with stroke only. The tertiary button is without filling at all. But there are also other interactive elements, of course. For example, you can have a button that looks like an icon. For example, like the close button that you surely know, and or the save icon, for example, in programs. This is also a button, even though it doesn't look like a typical button.
Yeah. But it was interesting about buttons, but let's go.
Oh yeah, we could do the whole episode just about buttons.
Yeah, as I said, 3 hours later.
Yeah. Sure. So what's the next one?
The next one is UX, like user experience.
Okay, you keep asking difficult questions, actually.
Sure I am. You want me to ask simple questions?
So let's keep it simple. Okay, so user experience is basically a term that refers to designing user experiences, which means that we are basically designing how something will be used. How something will be used, but it's based on users' needs, and we basically first do the research because we need to know our user. We need to know what are his motivations, what are his needs, what basically the user wants to achieve, but also what the client wants to achieve. So based on that, we basically design a user experience.
It's like what user can see and experience during the using.
Exactly. It's you basically design a way in which the user interacts with the product.
It's like first he opens an application, then he sees a start screen, and then how this journey. But it is user journey, isn't it?
Yes. Basically, when what you just mentioned, the term that you just mentioned is the term used in the process of designing the user experience, and there are a lot of terms like that. Basically, we kind of need to take all that data that we gather, and we have to organize it. We have to organize it, for example, into user journeys. Mm-hmm. So basically, we understand our user better, and we can basically, based on that, we can design good user experience. Mm-hmm. But there are also terms like customer experience and other like that. So this is a very broad term, mm-hmm. but basically it refers to designing the way the humans interact with what? With technology.
Just humans?
Yes, just humans.
Okay, I just wanted to ask maybe apps for dogs or something, but okay, it doesn't matter. Just don't answer this question.
That is interesting, but it would be, you must admit that it would be kind of difficult to interview a dog and ask him for his needs. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but it's like dogs choose one type of food and another they don't. For example, there is application for cats when he just has to catch the fish.
You probably could do that, I think, but it would be more like a game, like designing a game. Okay, and there is a game design also, which also uses some parts of user experience, but it's different process.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's go ahead.
Take another episode, actually.
Yeah, about apps for cats.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go
apps
ahead.
For cats, yeah. This should be the next episode. Yeah, definitely. But also, actually, lately I've seen a video in which a monkey scrolled some kind of feed.
Instagram?
Yeah. For example, I don't know what it was, but it was scrolling it and tapping on things, and it looked so human, actually,
Of course. Or scrolling the Instagram feed is monkey. Like
kind of, it's like
it's monkish.
Yeah, monkish, yeah. Okay, so what's the next one?
Okay, yeah.
We steered off the path, so.
Yeah. The next word is accessibility.
Okay, you really keep using very broad terms. Okay, accessibility actually is a term that refers to basically design meeting some kind of basically standards, mm-hmm. accessibility standards. Basically, you design for users, and it should be accessible. Like, design should be designed not only for people who are average, like who can see well or something like that, but you have to understand that you are designing for very different users, mm-hmm. very broad range of users, and you have to basically take all the needs into account. So basically, for design to be accessible, it has to basically pass these standards. For example, you have to provide proper contrast ratio in your
mm-hmm.
designs for it to be easily understandable for everyone. Basically, for it to be clear mm-hmm. for everyone to read.
Yeah, so your application or website has to be adjusted to needs of every user.
Yes. And also you have to think about things like font size. It cannot be too small, because the smaller it is, the harder it will be for the bigger mm-hmm. group of users to read. So you have to think about that. What is the next one? I hope this one will be simpler for the sake of our viewers. So.
Okay, I'll try, but okay. I can't
promise that. Okay.
Promise anything. So it is MVP.
MVP. Okay, this one is also not a very simple one, but I think this one is actually a very important term for if you want to cooperate with software houses. MVP stands for minimum viable product. It is basically a version of the product that is it's fully functional, but it's basic version, basically the version that we can already enter the market, and you can test it on the market, gather feedback, and then develop it further. Basically, developing software is usually kind of expensive, as you probably know, but you can actually save money by developing your product gradually, basically. So MVP is basically the first version of your product, and we basically make sure that it's fully functional, we make sure that it meets basic needs of the users. That is basically it's not just a wheel, it's actually, for example, a bicycle, and then you can develop it into a car. So, but it stays functional all the way. So that's an MVP. Do you have any questions regarding it?
I can have some. By the way, we have a video on our channel about MVP. I will add links here, and you can watch it also. So I will not have questions about MVP because we have a video about it on the channel.
I really recommend watching it.
Yeah. Okay. The next my word is prototype.
Prototype is basically a version of the design that is interactive. We make it for our clients and our users to be able to go through the user experience, basically, and that way we can also test it, because the software is being tested before it gets released to the market. And basically, in order to test the software without actually implementing it, you have to prepare a prototype that is interactive. This is basically, you can call it an animated design, but that is, kind of interactive.
So it is clickable.
It's scrollable, clickable. You can basically go through some kind of user flow. Okay, I have to explain what user flow is.
Yeah.
Okay, user flow is basically, it's a flow, yeah.
It's a flow, it's user and flow.
Yes, it's user plus flow. But basically, it's some kind of a path for the user to go, that the user goes. Okay, it's some kind of a path that the user walks.
Works.
Yes, that's what I would call it, basically. It's, for example, signing up. This can be called a user flow. You have signing up user flow, for example, or something like that. You understand? You have to design, for example, the user experience for registering the user.
Yeah.
So you have to design the user flow.
Okay. So first you see the screen of you have to register, then you click register, then you fill all forms, and this is the user flow.
Yes, basically when we design user flows, we think of actions that have to be taken, step by step, basically. This step-by-step process.
By human.
That's it. Yes, by human. Yes, by human, Olga.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what's the next one?
Who is the end user?
Basically, end user is the person for whom you design. So it's basically the end receiver of your design. So this is basically your target audience, I'd say. Yeah, so that's the end user, I think.
At the end of description, what the end user is.
Yes, this is actually the term that is kind of obvious, I think. Yeah.
So finally.
What's the next one?
Next one is brand book. Brand book. What is brand book?
Brand book is not exactly UX related.
Okay.
But brand book is basically it's a book in which all the rules, of your brand design are basically described and fixed. Basically, so other designers can follow it.
So it is logo, use cases of logo.
That's
colors,
a lot more.
Backgrounds, just everything.
Yes.
Which has information how to use. No, what is your brand? What your brand is.
Actually, there is a lot more to a brand book than just logo and backgrounds and stuff like this. Because actually, some of the most complex brand books actually contain your brand strategy. For example, it describes the rules of communication. For example, yes. So it basically tells you how to build and communicate for your company or stuff like that, basically. But of course, brand book also contains things like logo and describes how it should be used and how it should not
be used.
Yes, exactly. And it basically describes how your brand should behave in different use cases. So that's basically what a brand book is.
Oh, breadcrumbs.
Okay, so this one can be difficult for everyone. Breadcrumbs is actually this is actually a component that is a breadcrumb navigation. So basically, for example, when you are on a website, and this is a complex one, for example, Amazon, for example. Yeah, you know Amazon. So, sometimes it can be hard to navigate through such a big website that has a lot of sub-pages. So breadcrumbs is basically a kind of navigation that allows you to understand where you are on the website. So do you know what it looks like? It looks like it indicates like the paths that you follow to get to the specific place on the website.
For example, you are buying something, and it's like main page, then it is like slash items for home, then it is like bathroom, and then it's something
like that. Yeah. So it basically describes the relationships between parent pages and child pages, because there are parent pages and child pages to them.
But it is a strange name, right? Breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs, yeah.
Not obvious.
You know, because the breadcrumbs can lead you to something. I think that's how this term was made. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But that's basically how it works. And also you have, actually, to me, breadcrumbs is similar to paths in folders, for example, because the folder has to give you information about where it is stored on your computer. So it has a path, you know. For example, C/something. Yeah. So that's how breadcrumbs basically work.
Okay, let me see what I have more. Oh, and it is backlog.
Okay, a backlog is a list of tasks required to support a larger strategic plan, basically.
So it is like all tasks which have to be done during the development process, design process, or
basically
any process. Okay, that was easy. That was fast.
That was fast, yeah.
So we still have time for a couple more words. The next one on my list is SVG.
Okay, so an SVG is a file format, basically. It's a file format. This is a vector graphic format, basically, that is widely used on websites because SVG is good for optimization, basically. It's not as heavy as, for example, PNGs or something like that. So if you can use the SVG format for your graphics, then it's recommended to use it. For example, all the icons are in the SVG format. Photos usually not, because it's too complex and it's not vector. But if you can make something SVG, it's good to do it.
Okay, one more word and we will finish because we are out of time.
Okay.
And it is wireframe. What is wireframe?
Okay, wireframe is basically a version of the design that is not yet high fidelity, basically. It's not development ready user interface, but it's a simplified one, because it's faster to make, basically. It's faster to prepare. So basically you can you first prepare designs in wireframes, so that you can prototype them, test them, and so on. And it's easy because it's faster. You can go through the acceptation process before you actually jump to high fidelity design. So that's what wireframe is. It's basically very simplified user interface design.
Unfortunately, we have to finish now. You can always visit our website, frontendhouse.com, and do it. It's nice. and you can always click free consultation button, and we will talk about your project and find the best solution for your product.
And don't forget to check out our portfolio
Yeah.
on Behance. So there is, this is the link to it. Please visit it.
Yeah, Olga works a lot on Behance profile, so
Yeah, I do.
so please.
Please visit it. Okay, so thank you very much. It was
Thank
very
you.
nice.
It was nice. We will for sure make a second part of this episode, of this video. And thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.